What is up, YouTube? That's here, and today I'm back bringing you guys another Pokemon Legends ZA video where we're going to be going over the biggest winners and losers when it comes to Mega Evolution, specifically for ranked competitive battles in Pokemon Legends ZA. We're going to be talking about all of the returning Megas. We're going to try our best to not talk about any spoilers, and when we want to talk about all these Megas, one thing that we really have to realize is while all these guys are still in the game, they still retain their same base stats from all the other Pokemon games they've been in, which have all been turn-based RPGs. Now that it's a 4-player free-for-all in Pokemon Legends ZA, and there are no abilities in these games, some of these guys get a lot worse, and some of them get a lot better. So what we're going to be doing in today's video is going over these base stats, going over some movesets, and letting you know which Megas you guys need to be using in your own games to hit max rank, to unlock the Mega Greninja Stone, and to just have a really good time playing ranked in Pokemon Legends ZA. So if that sounds like fun, sit back, max, relax, and let's hop right into it. Starting off our list strong, and we're going to be talking about Mega Gardevoir. The reason why we're talking about Mega Gardevoir first is because there is currently a mystery gift running where you can unlock a routes with a Gardevoir for free. Every player can do this. All you have to do is simply connect online, go to Mystery Gift, and you get one of these right in your party. This is going to be one of the better Megas. It's a great long-range special attacker, and it has amazing base stats. Like, look at this. Yes, it loses access to Pixelate, which made Gardevoir a lot better, being able to do additional damage on normal-type moves, but still, 165 base special attack, 100 base speed means it's not the slowest. You're going to have a lot less time recharging, which is going to be a very important factor for determining the strength of a lot of these Megas. A lot of the slower Megas are actually going to lose a lot of value in this list, and the ones anything above like a 60 to 80 base speed, those are still actually fast enough to use multiple attacks before actually going down. So Mega Gardevoir hits hard. It's a long range special attacker. When you're playing it in this game, you want to realistically be using moves like Psyshock. Psyshock is going to be a homing move in this game. So basically it's going to be able to home in and just like pop anything. It's really hard to dodge Psyshock. Even things like Psybeam, which have a lot less of a cooldown, are going to be realistically very good in this game. Still 65 base power. It still has a chance to confuse the target, but being able to like throw a little mini like psychic type hyper beam is going to make Gardevoir very usable. I think other moves that are pretty good on this thing are going to be Dazzling Gleam as well. You kind of just do a ton of AoE, creates like a humongous like, Majin Vegeta like orb around itself that just does massive damage to a bunch of things. And then like you have other options like Magical Leaf, you have access to like Thunderbolt just for specific Gyarados matchups because Gyarados is very popular right now. But I think Gardevoir is going to be a great addition to any team. And while it was viable in like, turn-based, VGC singles, things like that, it's definitely a winner when it comes to, how it works in Legends ZA. I think it really benefits from the 4-player AoE style. If you're looking to like snipe KOs to get as many points as possible, it's definitely a Pokemon that can do that. And then Fairy Psychic typing is still very good for being able to block all the dark type attacks on the meta. So I think it's actually going to be a winner here. And let's move on to talk about Absol next. Absol is another Mega that you unlock relatively early in the game, and you get this for free just through playing through the storyline. Absol is also going to be very good. When I play Absol, I like to play it with like Swords Dance. Swords Dance is going to be a little bit different in this game. It's not going to be, doubling your attack and you can stack it. You basically just need to use it once, and then from there, it's one-shot city. You can go with things like Night Slash. I like Night Slash a little bit more than things like Knockoff in this game, just because you can't knock off Mega Stones, and Night Slash still has that high crit ratio. And then like from there, you can just put a bunch of different coverage on there. Sometimes I want to go like Psycho Cut. Sometimes I just go base Slash. It's a decent mon, but like these two things in conjunction with themselves, maybe throw a Detect. This is definitely a mon that can use a Detect, and Detect is actually a lot better than Protect in Legends ZA because it has 2 seconds less of a cooldown. It's 15-second cooldown for Protect, I believe, and it's 13 seconds for Detect. So always use Detect whenever you can, but realistically, Swords Dance, one shot. Easy peasy, pretty relatively easy Pokemon to use, and it's great for like, right after you've like gotten KO'd, and you have a full Mega Meter, bring up the Mega Absol, Mega Evolve it, pop the Swords Dance, and just pop something. And so like when you're already winning, when you're already in the lead, it helps you keep that lead. So I think it's a really good mon. It's definitely going to be a winner because like realistically, Mega Absol was garbage in VGC, in singles for most of its lifespan. So I mean, I like Mega Absol in, competitive, turn-based Pokemon, but I think it's a lot better in this game, and I think a lot of people would agree. Sucks it loses Magic Bounce, right? But, what are you going to do, right? We're going to talk about the OG bad boy themselves, Mega Kangaskhan, which I think a lot of people in turn-based Pokemon would say, that's the best Mega. Being able to hit things twice using its Parental Bond ability, that's going to be pretty good. So let's talk about Kangaskhan. And the fact that it loses that Parental Bond, it can't hit things twice, and just has this stat line, it's like kind of bulky, but like That's not very good. It still gets good coverage moves. It still gets like the elemental punches. You know, it's still an ice beam. I mean, it does get ice beam, but it gets like ice punch, gets double edge. You know, but it's realistically its moveset, its bulk, its whole kit was not made for this game. You can use it, but like there's like so many other mons that are better. So I would realistically put Kangaskhan as a loser in this regard. You can make it really bulky if you EV train it correctly. Again, that would just be heavy investment in like HP defenses and stuff like that. I think it's okay, but it's definitely a Pokemon that received a glow down for how it plays in Legends ZA. But yeah, this is just a reminder. Don't judge a book by its cover, or don't just use Mega Kangaskhan just because everyone says it's good, because it's really not that great in this game. So going on to the next one is going to be Mega Abomasnow here. So Mega Abomasnow, I think Abomasnow has a glow up, but let's talk about why. So Mega Abomasnow is going to be a little bit slow, right? But it's strong. So we got Abomasnow right here. So Abomasnow is quite slow, but what it has is like a lot of really good moves. Really good moves specifically into what the meta is. You know, the meta is a lot of like bulky water types, you know, big strong dragons. That's going to line up perfectly for something using like Blizzard, Ice Beam, you know, and it even gets like Ice Shard and stuff like that too. I think one cool thing about Abomasnow in this game is it can be a mixed attacker. So you can chuck like Ice Shard on this thing and have like a bulky like HP special attack set and stuff like that, and just be fine. Like Ice Shard is still going to be really good in this game, being able to like, you know, solidify those KOs, steal KOs from people that are low. And then you still have access to like, you know, big grass attacks. Like you have Giga Drain, you have access to even like Wood Hammer. You can go completely like physical or special or mixed. I think that makes Abomasnow like really viable. So I would say Abomasnow for sure is a bit of a winner in this game. The fact that almost all of its moves have like massive AoE attachments to them, and it's super effective against what the meta currently is. Like I think Abomasnow has a great matchup in a Gyarados, which I would say is like the #1, you know, mega right now on ranked. Gyarados don't commonly carry like bounce, I don't think. So I mean they should. I think that they should, but yeah, Mega Abomasnow is kind of nice. So I like Mega Abomasnow, but it's cool to see the ones, like, it's cool to see Megas like Abomasnow and Absol, which didn't really see that much play in turn-based Pokemon, have like really solid niches where they can have value in Legends ZA. That's one of the things I like about this game the most. Talking about Blastoise next. Blastoise is a bit of a weird one, right? Where Blastoise didn't really see that much play in, you know, any other, you know, competitive Pokemon game, at least in its Mega. And when it loses Mega Launcher, which really is this whole mon's kit. Like, 135 base special attack on a Mega is like nothing. Like, look at Gardevoir. It has a 165. It has, you know, similar HP. It has a lot less defense. It has way more special defense, and it has like way more speed, right? So like Blastoise, the difference between them is like Blastoise has like 30 less special attack, and it has like way more just attack than Gardevoir. So it's just kind of wasted stats. It's a Pokemon that's definitely reliant on its ability, Wonder or Mega Launcher, being able to add like, you know, a 1.5 boost to all pulse moves. So like there's no real reason to use Mega Blastoise. Yes, it's kind of bulky, but you could just be using a Mega Gyarados or a Mega Feraligatr instead. So I would say this is definitely one that got a glow down. But that being said, it's still definitely usable. I think all these Megas actually are usable. It's just that some, you know, aren't quite as good as their old glory days. Similar to that Kangaskhan, right? So we're going to talk about Mega Beedrill next. And this is your reminder, if you got this far in the video, you like this sort of content, you want to see more stuff like this, think about dropping a sub. We're making a bunch of Legends ZA content. We make a bunch of VGC content on this channel as well. Think about dropping a sub if you want to see more stuff like this. And let's talk about Mega Beedrill. So Mega Beedrill is actually really cool. I actually think, I think Mega Beedrill is actually going to be a Pokemon that, while it loses an amazing ability and adaptability, being able to give a 1.5 to all of its secondary stab moves, the way that its, like, kind of stat line works, with just being straight attack speed, having access to, like, U-turn, Poison Jab, you get access to, like, what other moves are there? I think, like, even... There's a lot of really good moves that like Beedrill gets really early that are very surprising. What was it? Was it Twin Needle? What move did it get like really early that I was so surprised it got? It was Pin Missile. Yeah, it gets Pin Missile like right at the start of the game, and I'm like, dang, that's like actually viable, because Pin Missile shoots like in a straight line. Anything you can have that's actually ranged on these like really aggressive sweepers is going to be really nice, because what you can do is you can go up to a battle, you can kind of sit out on the side, drop your like ranged attack, soften them up, and then come in hot with like a big U-turn or like your big actual attack. So you make them have to like, you use it for zoning realistically. You're zoning with like a pin missile. So I think Beedrill has a really, really cool kit in Legends ZA, and I've had a blast using it so far. I would say this definitely, it's hard to even say that it's a winner. It's just really a Pokemon that while it loses an amazing ability, it really benefits from you know, the way Legends ZA is structured. Again, it's also really good into things like Greninja and Gyarados, which are very, very popular right now. So I think Mega Beedrill is going to be great in this game. I'm having a lot of fun with it in my games, at least. So Mega Pidgeot here. Mega Pidgeot is weird. It's one of those ones kind of like Mega Absol where it never really saw competitive play. That being said, I think it has a lot of cool tools. It's similar to Abomasnow, where a lot of its moves just hit for AoE. Like, you can just use it as a big special attacker. 135 is the same as Blastoise. It's going to be kind of fast. Unfortunately, it shares weaknesses to Electric, which means there's a lot of people packing like Electric right now because like Gyarados is so popular. So when your opponent rolls up with like Mega Ampharos and you're stuck with Mega Pidgeot, like that's not great. But that being said, I think it's viable. It's definitely usable. Like, this isn't your general tier list. I don't have to decide where this goes. I just have to decide, is this something worth investing for people or is it not? And this thing loses no guard, but since moves like don't really hit or don't really miss in this game, like every move basically hits if you're targeting them correctly, I would say that it's not really affected because it actually has like a good kit. It gets things like Hurricane, Heat Wave, things like that. I would technically put it in the winner because the way that Legends ZA is structured, with it being like a 4-player game where like AoE is going to be very rewarded, it gets a lot of good coverage moves. I think it's going to be a mon that would be better in this game than a standard Pokemon, like, you know, turn-based game. So I would say that it's definitely viable, but let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree, or maybe if you want to see some content with Mega Pidgeot. Think about letting me know, and we're going to talk about Mega Alakazam. So Mega Alakazam is very similar to Mega Gardevoir, right? And it also kind of had an ability kind of similar to Mega Pidgeot where it didn't really get any value out of it. It had trace, I believe. So yeah, being able to trace abilities, there's no abilities in these games. It's not really losing anything of value. So that just means that it's like stat line is like really optimized. 175, 150. It's a glass cannon. This guy is going to hit hard and it's perfect. Like, you can use that Psyshock like I was talking about and just get right in the right spot and just pop something. Like, Psyshock being a homing move kind of always hits. It's going to be really, really good. Gets Psychic, gets a bunch of other good coverage moves as well. Basically, all the big special attack moves, like, that are, you know, in every single Pokemon game, this guy gets it. So I think that, like, Alakazam is going to be very viable. It gets, like, Shadow Ball, you know, things like that. Yeah, I think even Zap Cannon's still in the game. So, like, that's cool that it gets these things. I think Alakazam's going to be good. Definitely a glow up, because, like, Alakazam's been hard to use in, you know, competitive Pokemon in previous formats, but definitely a glow up. We're starting to see a pattern where, like, you know, most things are very, very viable. I mean, we're starting with some of the bottom of the barrel ones like, you know, Abomasnow, Absol, but they're very viable in Legends ZA compared to what they were before. I think before, you know, let's just talk about like little history of like VGC and singles. Things like, you know, Mega Kang, Mega Sally, those were pretty, like Mega Metagross, those were like the best ones, and if you weren't using those, you didn't really get to play the game, with the exception of like, you know, Charizard Y and stuff like that was also up there as well. And now I feel like everything is viable. You can totally use everything. The fact that you can like Mega Evolve different Pokemon and stuff like that, you know, in between your matches and stuff like that is really, really cool. I think that everything is viable. And let's talk about Mega Venusaur. So Mega Venusaur, oh man, this is going to be funny. I just talked about how viable everything is. I think Mega Venusaur is probably a loser just because it loses ability to get Thick Fat, which was an amazing ability on this thing in competitive ranked battles. Its stat line is really mediocre. It's similar to Mega Meganium, right? But yeah, it just doesn't really have the coverage. It doesn't really have the speed to succeed and keep up with how like fast-paced the tempo game is. Like, if you're using this thing, you can maybe go 1-for-1 with something, but that's not great. There's a lot of other like grass poison mons too, things like Mega Victory Bell and stuff like that, which I would say are better in an abilityless meta. But that being said, I think this is definitely a loser. You're starting to see a pattern where like the Pokemon that are really reliant on their abilities to carry their base stats and carry their whole kits, it makes them a lot harder to use in this game. So let's talk about Mega Slowbro. I think Mega Slowbro is a pretty unique one. Mega Slowbro is actually cool. I've just started messing around with Mega Slowbro in my games, and I think it's actually a really good mon. It loses Shell Armor, which is technically an ability that doesn't do anything unless like you're you know, getting crit, right? 90% of the time, Shell Armor's not going to be doing anything for you. So you're basically already playing an ability-less Mon in a lot of situations, similar to like Alakazam and things like that. So 95, 180, 130, that's an amazing stat line. This guy's really slow, but it definitely benefits from, let's see, what is it? Does it get Hydro? Yeah, so it gets Hydro, it gets Surf, but it also gets like access to like weird like flamethrower stuff, psychic moves. Like this guy actually gets really, really good coverage, and I've just kind of started messing with this guy myself in ranked battles. I really, really like it. Surf is like an AoE move that hits like everything. Hydro's good. Access to like other coverage moves like Psyshock and Flamethrowers makes this guy like really, really tanky. I think you can also go like an Iron Defense set if you want to play massive bulk as well. But I've had a ton of fun playing with this guy. I think the only issue I have had is that it is, you know, weak to dark. So like Mega Gyarados, Mega Greninja are going to be able to pin this guy a little bit, but on the right team, maybe with something like an Excadrill or something, I think this could be a very, very viable mon. So this is definitely a glow up. It is a winner in ranked battles. And let's move on to Mega Gengar. So Mega Gengar, I was playing some games with Mega Gengar today on stream actually, and I'm not a fan of Gengar in this game. It feels really like slow, even though it's supposed to be really fast. Not that Gengar, it's Mega Gengar. Yeah, I just, losing Shadow Tag is such an L for this guy. His whole kit was basically built around abusing Shadow Tag with this 170, 130. It still gets access to all the good coverage moves, gets access to like Sludge Wave and Dazzling Gleam. But the problem is you have to be like right in the middle of the action. Like these type of moves are built better on like bulky bruises where you go right up in the middle and you just pop off and like blow up everything, right? And that doesn't work on like Gengar, really. There's not that, it just doesn't really have that bulk to be able to sustain that playstyle. You go up into the middle of the fight and you just get popped by like everything. So, and it doesn't really have the long range tools to be able to play like Alakazam or Gardevoir do. So it's usable, but like you'd be much better off with like any of those, like I said, or even like a Mega Greninja or something. So it's definitely a loser in Legends ZA, I think. I think it's definitely on the losing side of things. And let's talk about Charizard Y. So Charizard Y, we're going over all the good ones now, right? So Charizard Y, it's cool, right? But losing Drought isn't just the sun being able to enable you and your teammates. It's also a steroid on all of your fire moves. So like realistically, Charizard should have like, you know, an extra, you know, 70-something base special attack because all of its moves would be getting boosted by the sun. And so since that's not there, it's losing like a secondary steroid on its kit. So it's basically just a Charizard. Like, that's not your man. That these two are basically the same thing. It's 50 base special attack stronger, but you see how it's wasting a ton on like attack and like a little bit in Spadef that it just doesn't really need. You'd be much better in a lot of situations to go to Zard X. Charizard X is going to be great. You know, Dragon Fire, you get a big bulk over your like attack set. You can even still use some special attacks, a little bit of a mix sweeper if you want. I think Charizard X is better than Charizard Y in this game. And so for those reasons, I would put probably Charizard Y in the losers and Charizard X in the winners. They kind of swap places. Like this is now, like I'm the captain now. I think Charizard X is going to be a lot better in Legends ZA than Charizard Y is. But that's just my opinion. Like every single game I've been playing and I'm going to attack someone that has a Charizard and I'm like, cool, I'm going to Thunderbolt that. And then they Mega and I'm like, oh no, Thunderbolt doesn't work on a Dragonmon. And then they go into Charizard Y and I Thunderbolt it and I kill it and I'm like, what was the point of that? You know, I feel like that's just like we take those all the way to the bank, right? So let's talk about Mega Garchomp. Mega Garchomp's actually a really, really unique case where it's one of the few Megas, one of only a couple of them, where base form Garchomp in a lot of situations is actually better than Garchomp in like the history of Pokemon, right? So this is base Garchomp spread. So it gets a 102 base speed, 130, decent bulk. When you Mega Evolve it in every other Pokemon game, it gets bulkier, gets stronger, but it gets slower. So it's one of the few Megas where you're like, if I Mega Evolve this, I'm not going to be able to sweep correctly. But since speed is just such a different stat because it affects like your move charging and things like that, it's not as important. It's really just probably one of the least important stats. I mean, it's not really the least important stat. I should maybe just make a video kind of explaining how speed works, I guess. But it's not as important as it is in turn-based Pokemon games, where I would say it is the most important stat. Knowing your speed tiers is super important. So that being said, losing a little bit of base speed to gain like a ton of bulk and like a massive offense, this guy gets everything. He gets Spadef, he gets defense, he gets attack, he gets special attack, he gets everything, right? And so I think Mega Garchomp is like a humongous like glow up, a humongous winner for this one. Both Garchomp is like massively underrated too. Like moves like Dig, for example, are way better in this game than they are in, you know, regular Pokemon games, because you basically use it to dodge moves, go underground, and then it's a homing move, kind of like Psyshock, where you just come in and you just pop things. So I think like it has a really good kit. You can go Dig, you can go Earthquake, massive AoE mon, great defensive bulk, and honestly, if you Mega, you can just eat an Ice Beam, and there's not that many things that are like running Ice Beam, as far as I've seen on the ladder right now. There's not that many Ice Beam mons. I know that like a lot of people used to just throw Ice Beam on everything in like VGC and 6v6 battles, but like it's just not really that popular in this game yet. I mean, I still try and take an ice move because like Dragonites and Salamences are everywhere, but you don't really one-shot them unless you stab the Ice Beam. And as we can see, there's not that many stab ice megas, and the whole point of this game is to utilize your megas as much as possible. So that being said, Mega Garchomp, definitely a winner in my book. Lopunny's a bit of a weird one. I was playing today and I fought against a Mega Lopunny, and I was using Mega Gengar, and like they couldn't hit me because like they don't have Scrappy anymore, and I was just like, dang, dude, that sucks. Your whole kit's like built around that. Like 135, 136 is good, but this Pokemon is built mostly with like, you know, normally like a fake out sort of like pressure, like aggro energy, similar to like a Medicham, right? And that's just not really good in this game. Like it's a sweeper, yeah, it's cool, but like I would much rather have like an Absol on my team than this thing, right? They do basically the same thing. They can come in hard and they can come in fast. Maybe they use a setup move or something, but then they're a glass cannon. They're going to go down. So all that work on like a Mega Lopunny, I don't really think you need to be doing that because it's just super frail. 65, 94, 96 is pretty frail in my opinion, and it doesn't have Scrap anymore. So like having normal fighting, like you are big sad against so many different types. There's a lot of ghosts still running around, and I think it's definitely a loser in this regard. So let's talk about Gallade. Gallade is weird, right? Because we have not played with Gallade as a Mega since 2019, I believe. Yeah, that's the last time it was legal, right? And so its ability is Inner Focus, which has gone through a bunch of changes, and it doesn't have it anymore. But like, you know, we'd be assuming that it might get Sharpness if it ever got into like competitive play on like Champions and stuff like that. This would be a great ability, but realistically, Gallade's another one of those mons where it's inherently abilityless because Inner Focus didn't really do anything for it back then. You know, it didn't block Intimidates or stat drops or things like that. It just blocked you from being flinched. So 165, 110, that was a really good stat line back in the day, especially that 115 base Spadef. It definitely was like a usable mon in some situations. And I think what made Gallade, and even base form Gallade, good was that it got a bunch of like tech moves, Trick Room, Wide Guard, you know, bulk up, set up things. Really, really good mon, really, really unique defensive typing being like psychic fighting. It doesn't really translate into this game very well. I've noticed that whenever I've played Gallade, I kind of just walk around and I'm going to try and get a KO, but I don't one-shot them. And then I die. I get one-shotted by like, it was the randomest thing. Because like 68 base HP is just too low. Like massive Spadef stat, but like all the things you're weak against are all like the strong special attack things. So like you have a great Spadef stat, but like if you're weak against, you know, Ghost and, you know, all those other, it's Ghost, so it's always Ghosts, right? And Fairy, right? They just melt you. Like, it just feels really underwhelming to use this thing. So I would put Gallade in, I'd put it in the losers. I was using it, it's okay, but like, you're starting to see a pattern where like the AoE mons, the mons that can be a little bit more ranged, it's hard to get up and personal and fight and not just get like 0 for 1 or even 1 for 1 at best. And so Gallade just kind of falls prey to its sort of playstyle in this game not really being rewarding. Like the fact that like most of its kit is like shared with Gardevoir, and then it just doesn't have the base special attack stat. It has a 65 base special attack stat, and it's supposed to be launched like Mystical Fires and Psychics. It just makes it really hard to use. So let's talk about Mega Pinsir. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've not seen anyone use Mega Pinsir yet. I don't know if Mega Pinsir's in the game. But we're going to talk about Mega Pinsir, and you know, I know what moves Pinsir gets, so I'm pretty sure I can still do this. So Pinsir here, Mega Pinsir, it loses aerially, which is similar to Gardevoir having like Pixelate and stuff like that. So that's unfortunate, but like Pinsir has historically gotten things like close combat, which is really, really good in this game, being like a, just locks right in and just dump trucks people. Mega Horn is actually really good in this game too. Does it get Mega Horn? Pinsir doesn't get Mega Horn? Dude, I thought I knew Pinsir. Yo, I'm exposing myself here. I thought Pinsir got Mega Horn. What do you get? You can tell that Pinsir's just not my guy. I always use Heracross. Some of these moves are okay. Outrage is still in the game. Excisor is fine. Excisor is down here. I guess these moves are okay. It gets Rock Slide. Rock Slide's still in the game. This guy probably is a glow down though, because like Aerial 8 was amazing. Like you just slap like a, it's like a double edge boosted by Aerial 8, massive damage, turns into a flying type attack, deals additional damage. 155 attack is good, but very similar to Glade. 65 HP ain't going to do it. Tons of weaknesses on this thing too, so pretty easy loser in my opinion. But let me know, have you guys seen Mega Pinsir? Let me know where to catch it. Taking about Mega Lucario next. Mega Lucario is a mon. So Lucario, right? So Lucario had originally adaptability. Losing adaptability means it loses like a ton of damage here. 145, 140 is pretty underwhelming on like a 112 base speed versus like this sort of stuff. Good thing about Lucario is a lot of its moves, especially on the special side, are like ranged moves. So similar to like how Mega Beedrill works, you can kind of use them to zone things just a little bit. That being said, I think it's viable. I'm not going to say it's a winner. I guess it's technically a loser, technically, because losing adaptability is massive. But that being said, it has good typing. Like Fighting Steel lets you beat things like Excadrill if you get the jump on it. And it also lets you beat things like Gardevoir. It lets you beat things like Gyarados after they've Mega Evolved. I think it lets you beat Greninja. These are all things that are like at the tippy top of the ladder. You guys should also let me know in the comments if you guys want to see a tier list where we actually rank all the Megas, so you guys know which ones are S ones, which ones are A, you know, etc., etc. Let me know, and I'll try and get that out as well. But that being said, I think it's a loser. That sucks. That sucks for Lucario, man. Losing adaptability is huge. It's still very usable in this game. Definitely a good mon, but like Lucario was always one of those mons that was almost broken in like, you know, turn-based Pokemon battles, and it just is not popping off in this game as much. Pokemon that got a massive glow up is going to be Gyarados. Holy moly, Gyarados is definitely a winner. I think Gyarados is like the best mon in the game right now. Gyarados is pretty busted, right? So it gains Dark typing upon Mega Evolution. It loses Mold Breaker, which isn't really a loss of anything. It's one of those mons where you can tell the ones that are all like having abilities that weren't really damage multipliers are all winners. That's kind of how this all works, because they just have really good stat lines. The stat lines carried the mons, not the abilities. And look at that stat line: 95 HP, 109 defense, 130 base speed F, 155 attack. It's massive. It gets access to Waterfall, which is absolutely amazing. You just like barrel through the opponent's team, destroying everything, one-shotting things for neutral damage. It's ridiculous. Also gets access to like Iron Head to be able to pin things like Gardevoir. It gets access to like Bulldoze. I think it also gets like EQ as well to be able to hit like just a little bit of AoE in its area, and I think it does still get bounce. And a lot of people also use like Crunch on it, just to be able to have a secondary stab, do good damage against like ghosts and stuff like that. This is absolutely amazing. This guy's probably one of the best leads in the game. I actually made a video in yesterday going over like why I think Gyarados is like one of the best leads and how you can actually build a team around supplementing your Gyarados to let it just completely carry you. That's how I would unlock the Greninja item if I still had to do that in my game. Gyarados is absolutely amazing, and yeah, I think it's just super good in this game. So definitely a winner in my book. And yeah, more people need to use Gyarados. Like the whole meta is like Gyarados, and then like the things that check Gyarados, and like every kind of little thing also has like Thunderbolts teched on it right now. It's kind of funny. So let's talk about Mega Aerodactyl. I have not actually seen anyone use Mega Aerodactyl yet. I know it's in the game, but I have not seen it. But I know what moves it gets. Similar to Pinsir, but I actually know a little bit more about Mega Aerodactyl. So Mega Aerodactyl is kind of cool. Problem with Mega Aerodactyl is that everyone's using Gyarados. So like, while you can hit it with something like a Rock Slide, it's not going to be amazing. But it does get good moves. Like Rock Blast is a lot better in this game. It's used as zoning. It's always going to fire like the 6 bullets. So Rock Blast is good. It gets access to good, like, you know, Wing Attack. Aerial Ace is going to be like a good move on this mon. And then access to like, what else does it really get? It gets Iron Head too, I think. So I think that Mega Aerodactyl, because look at that stat line, 135, 150. It's going to be able to use his moves pretty fast. Decent bulk. I would say Mega Aerodactyl is a winner. It loses Tough Claws, but like a lot of Mega Aerodactyls never really utilize Tough Claws on their kits anyways. So I think that Mega Aerodactyl is definitely like a winner in that regard. I love Mega Aerodactyl. It's one of my favorite mons from the Let's Go days, and yeah, I'm gonna try and unlock that. Actually, I'm gonna start building some Mega Aerodactyl stuff relatively soon. Let's talk about Mega Audino. This is a weird one. I've heard people saying that this thing is really good. It loses healer as an ability, but that's some good stats. That's for a game like this where you want to like soak some damage and deal some damage. That's good stats, because what you're doing is you're playing to like, you're playing for your super effectives. So if you have good coverage, like this thing does, Fire Blast, Psychic, Psyshock, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, right? This is a good mon. Not that it was bad. I think the way that Audino used to be played was like Trick Room and like setup and stuff like that. I think Audino is massively a glow up in this game. Definitely a winner. I think it's definitely a winner. Great stuff. I think Audino is really good. You can soak some hits. As long as you're avoiding those steel types, you're going to be fine. So yeah, great glow up. I think fairies are going to be great in this game, in my opinion. Mega Ampharos. Mega Ampharos is kind of cool. I think Mega Ampharos, a lot of people are using it right now because it's a good pivot for Gyarados, right? So for pinning opposing Gyarados, is what you can do is you can lead with something that has like a weakness to a Gyarados, and they pivot in your Gyarados to beat it, and you pivot in your Ampharos, and Ampharos just does a pretty good job about checking other Gyarados and stuff like that. It's dragon typing on its Mega is going to let you block that waterfalls and stuff like that. It loses Mold Breaker, which is realistically not a damage increasing ability, so that means its base stats are doing a lot of the heavy lifting. This is similar to Audino, right? Where it's just like fat. It's like 90, 105, 110 with a 165 base special attack, dual stab on dragon moves and electric. This is definitely a winner. Much better mon in this game. It's like the way that this game plays, the tempo, the speed, everything about it really leans into like enhancing Ampharos' kit, which I really like. Speaking about enhancing a kit, holy moly, my favorite Pokemon in this game to use is Mega Heracross. This thing is so good, right? We were just talking about, the bulk. Look at that bulk. And then it gets access to like, it gets access to Pin Missile, right? It gets access to Rock Blast. Like, you can use these as zoning, right? Like we were talking about with Mega Beedrill. You can zone with these moves a little bit, but then it also has gap closers, right? Lunge is a gap closer in this game. It also has Mega Horn. You can use these to like close the distance. So you can keep them away, keep them at bay, and then just like dash in and like dash out and just like, oh my gosh. The fact that we're slow, it's not that important. It's definitely fast enough to still be played. This is probably like my tier 1 like best pick. It's really good into Mega Gyarados too. You can Rock Blast against regular Gyarados. You can go Lunge, Mega Horns. You can even go like Brick Breaks to break screens. You can go like Close Combat. There's so many different things you can do. Like I love Heracross. This guy's massive glow up, like S tier amounts of glow up. The game's mechanics, speed, everything about it just really, really suit this guy. I had a video going up yesterday talking about like Heracross basically just carried me to rank 1, like easy peasy. It was so good. Like I love this thing. It plays so well. And yeah, it has some weaknesses, but like a lot of people aren't really carrying like flying or fire coverage right now. And it's just a really, really good like anti-meta mon for pinning like the Greninjas and Gyarados is running around. So we're talking about Mega Steelix. Mega Steelix is a really cool mon as well. So Mega Steelix, I think it's very similar to Audino, where let me find Mega Steelix. It has a lot of bulk, right? That's a lot of bulk. It doesn't really need to be a big attacker, but it has the attack power to do things if it wants. It keeps ground and steel stabs, so it loses rock. And so you can still go for like, things like dig and EQ are just really good in this game. The way the moves, the AoE moves and things like that really suit this thing's playstyle. So the moves that they've powered up in Legends ZA really suit Steelix, and it's Steel Ground is good typing as well for the most part, as long as you're avoiding those Gyaradoses. Great defensive bulk, decent Spadef on a decent, sub-decent HP. This guy's definitely a glow up, so we're going to put it in the winner's circle. Yeah, I think that Steelix is good. It lost like Sand Force, which was really not anything of value because it was hard to make that thing work on sand anyways. So yeah, I think it's definitely a glow up. I think just regular Steelix is cool too, so definitely cool. All right, let's talk about Scizor, Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor. All right. So Mega Scizor. So it keeps Technician, right? Which is going to be, boosting the power of all of your like weaker moves like Bullet Punch, anything under base power 60. So now you can use whatever you want. You can go for close combats, you can go for U-turns, you can do anything you want with this guy. You can set it up as like a Swords Dance, like triple attacker and stuff like that. I think it's okay. 70, 150, 140, 100 is definitely a usable stat line. But that being said, I don't really think the game and the tempo play to this thing's strengths. It gets U-turn, it gets Swords Dance, which are good, but I don't really think that it's like making up for the fact that you've lost Technician. And I think that like the fact that like you can stab Iron Head at base 150 attack, you know what else does that? Like an Excadrill, right? With like more attack and like better bulk and, you know, the ability to hit things for AoE. The fact that this is like purely a single target attacker makes it a lot harder to use. So I would put Scizor in the losers bracket. Man, it's crazy how like all the mighty have fallen out here. Kang, Gengar, Zard, you know, Lucario, Scizor. It's crazy. We're going to go into Mega Sableye. Mega Sableye is a bit of a weird one, you know. Time for a story lesson for everybody. I think when a lot of people that come from the singles side of things think about Mega Sableye, they think of like Big Stall and like Magic Bounce with like Recover and stuff like that. That's how Sableye's always been played in singles. I'm actually one of the few people that has like a lot of championship points with Mega Sableye in VGC. In 2015, I almost got like my whole world's invite of just using Mega Sableye, and yeah, it's hard to use in VGC, but you definitely can make it work. That being said, this is a cool stat line, but Mega Sableye is not like the status wall that it used to be. Ghost Dark is unique typing, but not great since there's so many Mega Guards running around. And you can mitigate damage all you want, but like realistically, you're going to get your face shoved in by 4 people. And I don't think that Mega Sableye has the tools or the bulk to really weather that storm. It's a cool mon. I've used it a little bit, but I don't do any damage. And the whole point of this game is to like do damage and KO the opponents like before the opponents can KO the other opponents, right? So like you're never going to be able to like launch a Dark Pulse from like downtown and actually KO anything before, you know, Gyarados are just waterfalling them like 8 times, right? So that being said, this is definitely a loser because its whole kit is built around like Wisp, Stall, you know, stuff like that. And Magic Bounce was an amazing ability. Losing that kind of sucks. So this is definitely a loser. It's a cool mon, right? Obviously, I love Sableye, but it just doesn't really work in this one. The only way that you can even also make use of it is by bringing it out in like the middle of your team once you already have a full Mega Meter. If you're opening with Sableye, that's not working. You just have like everyone else has like busted like fully evolved things, and you're just walking around with like a little Sableye with its pre-Mega stats, like similar to Mawile, it's like unusable. So you can only use it on some teams. It takes a ton of resources to use, and it doesn't really do any damage, which means it's just really hard to use in this game. So let's talk about Mega Houndoom. I think Mega Houndoom's in a very similar situation to Zard, where like Zard kind of needed this drought steroid. Like Mega Houndoom's whole kit was reliant on it having solar power to have a sun steroid to basically let this 140, like that's even weaker than Zard, right? It's terrible. Like there are like non-Mega Mons that have like better stat lines than this. It's cool, but you're better off with like a regular Charizard on your team than like this thing, I think. So it's unfortunate, but it's definitely one that was massively reliant on its ability. So it's definitely going to be in the losers bracket here. So here we go. T-Tar. T-Tar is a surprising case, actually. So Tyranitar, you know, with that Sandstream, you know, Sandstream did multiple things. It did damage to, you know, everything that wasn't a rock, a ground, or a steel type. It, you know, gave all your rock types a special defense boost. It was amazing. T-Tar is still really good, though. Look at this stat line. Holy moly. Like, when the Megas that just give you incredibly broken amounts of bulk, like Heracross, Mega Garchomp, things like that, those are the really good ones in this game, because you can just trade effectively. You can like, I'm gonna KO that, and I'm gonna soak some damage, and I'm gonna KO that, and I'm gonna soak some damage. I'm gonna do a little bit AoE, go for like an Earthquake, Rock Slide, I'm gonna soak some damage, and then I'm just gonna win. Like, T-Tar's great. So it's definitely a glow up. Even though this thing was used, and it had an amazing ability, it's still good. It didn't need that ability. It had the stat line to carry the whole time. Mega Mawile is very similar to Sableye, like I was talking about. If we take a look at Mawile here, these are the base stats of the Mawile that you're using when you're not Mega. So like, and what they've done is, since adaptability is not in the game, they just have doubled the attack stat on the Mawile to make up for that. So it still hits really, really hard, but like you don't have that bulk. So like when you're unmega'd, you just get dump trucked on, right? So I think a lot of these Megas that also were built on like their pre-existing forms having like Intimidates and other abilities that activated upon them being sent out, those were really important for them and their kits, kind of like how I think Mawile's like the Mawile and Salamon's the two big ones that come to mind when I think about that. But yeah, Mega Mawile is probably going to be in the losers bracket as well. It's cool, but it's very similar to Sableye, where it requires it to be your Mega to be usable. And then even then, all you can really do is come out, pop a Swords Dance, maybe get like 1 KO, go for like a 1-for-1. And there's a lot of other mons that can do that a little bit better. Even like an Absol is better at that, because you don't have to waste your Mega slot on it. Like base form Absol can be used at the start of the game if you have to. Aggron, here we go. Big Aggron. So Aggron similar to Steelix, not just because they're steel types. That's base form Aggron, which is good. And Aggron Mega, it loses filter, which is an amazing ability. But like I was 1v1ing one of these things, and I was using an extra, and I was just earthquaking it down. And bro, this guy was like not taking damage, and I was like, that's ridiculous, right? Like he's just saying, nah, like I'm built different. You have to use like special attacks, and right now where we are, there's not a lot of like pure fire attackers. Like think about it. Like if we take a look at like what's in the losers bracket over here, we have like Zard, Houndoom. This is a physical attacker fire type over here. Mega Aggron don't care, right? The Mega Aggron just don't care. Really bulky. It has a good attack stat too. Like 140 is good. So this is definitely a winner in my book. Mega Aggron combusted. I've fought a bunch of them, but I haven't got to use one yet. I think it's going to be a lot of fun when I finally get to bust one of these guys out. So Mega Medicham. Mega Medicham might be okay. So Mega Medicham. So again, pure power, it's what it has in this game is it just has like the already like doubled attack stat basically. So that's how they make it work in these games. But like the rest of that stat line, we're talking about glass cannons, right? I wonder, Mega Medicham was already like really hard to make work in the first place. You're usually better off using a Lopunny or even like a Lucario. I generally like to use Lucario over Mega Medicham. I think it has a similar problem with Galabra. A lot of its kit, a lot of its like best moves are special, and it doesn't have the same boost to that stat. It's also really reliant on its, like it would have been reliant on its ability, but they included it in its kit. So I would still put it in the losers bracket just because like it's a glass cannon. It has to get in there and like fight and like, you know, close combat things out, and it just doesn't really work here, where you're better off like zoning a little bit, soaking some damage, and trying to go like 1 for 2. Like if I can KO 2 things every single time I like get KO'd myself, that's a win. I'm gonna win that game probably. But if I at best go like 1 for 1 every single time, that's not gonna be that great. That's only good in a situation where I'm already like 2 or 3 KOs ahead of everybody, and I'm just kind of in like keeping my lead. So if that's what you need to do with Mega Medicham, it can still work, but I think it's definitely in the losers bracket. Mega Manetrix is pretty nice. Mega Manetric. I made a video with it the other day, which is right over here, talking about how it's a good support for, you know, Mega Gyarados and things like that, being able to still have that big electric attack. It has enough special attack on this thing to actually still pick up KOs too, with like stab Thunderbolts. You get Thunderbolt relatively early, so if you're still trying to like, you know, if you're still trying to beat the game and you need to hop on rank to get this Greninja item, the Mega Greninja item before the 4th, this is a good mon. You can get it pretty early. You can get Alpha Manetrix, which are fully EV train HP, so you'll be pretty bulky. And then you still have enough to like juice to like one-shot Gyarados with Thunderbolt because it's the stab, right? So I think it's a good mon. It loses Intimidate, but I like it. It's hard to say if it has a glow up though, because like its previous playstyle was like come out, Intimidate, Volt Switch, you know, pin with fire moves, things like that. Like Hidden Power Ice was how this guy used to be played. I would say this technically classifies as a glow down because its whole kit is built around like Intimidate, which it doesn't really have anymore. This is a pretty subpar stat. Like a lot of the things you can do with a Mega Manetric, like Jolteon is right there, and that's just not a Mega. Not that you need to waste your like Mega stats or anything. Like you don't have to. Everything can Mega, right? But that being said, like this is basically the same as this because there's no abilities, and that's a glow down. When you're Mega and like you're used to doing like a really cool, unique thing that only really you could do, and now you're basically like a bad Jolteon. That's a glow down in my opinion. Camerupt. I think Camerupt's really cool in this one. So Camerupt is unique. It loses Sheer Force, yeah, that kind of sucks, but like all the different fire attacks make it usable, like Heat Wave, Flamethrower, like all those things. But then also the stabs on things like Earth Power. Earth Power is a really good move. It sets like an area where it just like blows like everything up. Do tons of AoE with Earth Power. I actually think this guy's pretty good. The only problem is like there's Gyarados everywhere. But that being said, this isn't like ranking it on like an S to F list. It's just saying, is it better or worse in this game? And I definitely think it's better in this one, just because like a lot of its moves are AoE and there are a lot of ranged moves. So it has unique offensive coverage. Yeah, definitely a winner in this one. It sucks it loses Sheer Force, but it has the right moves. And it has like decent base stats. Like it's bulky, right? It's pretty bulky. Kind of waste some of these attack stats, but hey, you might be able to chuck an Earthquake on there, make a little bit of a mix sweeper. Like 100 base, 105 Spadef, like a good stat line. I think it's a good mon. I've been deceived by how bulky this thing is already a few times in playing battles, so I think it's good. We got Sharpedo. Sharpedo. All right, so Sharpedo. So Sharpedo loses Strong Jaw, which wasn't that, much of a loss realistically. But again, it's such a glass cannon. 105, 140. It has a decent special attack stat. It's probably actually better, honestly, as like a special attacker, right? Using like Hydro and Surf. But like all that on like a special, like a 110 base, not good. Not that this guy was good, but this is definitely a glow down. Just because like the game doesn't really... I'm going to call these like... How would I even word it? Like these 1-for-1 like trade mons, they're just not really that great in this playstyle in my opinion. Things like Metachan. Absol can make it work because Absol didn't have any other options, but it's rough to make these guys work in this game, especially when their kits let them do other things in other games. Like this, it used to go for like speed boost, destiny bonds, taunts, things like that, and now like it's just like herb derp, maybe I get a KO before I get ripped. Mega Altaria. I really like Mega Altaria. So I'm making a video where I'm going to be showing you guys like the best team that I have. And I'm going to be playing in some tournaments as well. I think Mega Altaria is going to be what I actually feature. It loses Pixelate, which sucks, but like it's normally a dragon flying, which means it's a great pivot for things that have ground weakness. But then you can also go Fairy to cover up for your dragon weakness against other dragons, and then gain like a secondary stab in those matchups. And I really like that. It has good bulk, 75, 110, 110, 110, 105. That's totally usable. You're going to be able to deal enough damage, soak enough damage, be a good defensive pivot, and still have enough health to be able to, still win those trades because your defensive typing is doing so much of the heavy lifting. I think it's a very usable mon. Again, it sucks it loses Pixelate, but like, I really, really like this thing. Just on paper, it's very, very good. So I'm excited to try this and be on the lookout for some Mega Altaria videos. All right, here we go. Mega Glalie here. Mega Glalie is very weird. Mega Glalie is... It loses Refrigerate, which is the same as like Aerialate and all those other moves that turn normal type moves into a, in this situation, an ice type, and then it deals additional damage. It loses that, so you can't really do that anymore. And then the stat line is just garbage, right? It did something special. It used to have like Moody too on the base form of Glalie, and that was a really cool mechanic on this guy. And it loses this. It gets some unique moves like Freeze Dry and stuff like that, but honestly, this is like worse than even a lot of non-Mega Mons, so this is definitely a glow down. Oh man, so Mega Bannet, right? I was actually streaming today with Mega Bannet. I really, really like Mega Bannet. So Mega Bannet is the perfect example of a globe. It loses Prankster. Like in previous Pokemon games, it had like access to like Wisp, and it was the only mon that had Prankster Destiny Bond, which was like really, really cool. Right? A bunch of other like support moves and things like that, like Encore and Taunt and things like that. And it was always so weird that like that was the set they made this guy. They basically made it into a Sableye with Prankster, but then it has a 165 base attack. I always felt that was so weird. So in this game, the set that I've been using is Swords Dance, right? And you put it just like an Absol, but it gets Phantom Force. So what you can actually do is Swords Dance and just walk up to something, almost anything, as long as it's not a Mega, or even if it's a Mega, if you're hitting it for neutral damage, you're going to like one-shot them with this Phantom Force. If you don't one-shot them, you can finish them off with like a Shadow Sneak, right? Easy peasy. Like, I've just been blowing things up with this combo. This Bannet it's definitely one of those mons that goes 1-for-1, but what sets it apart from, a lot of these other 1-for-1 mons is it has that gap closer. It has that Phantom Force. So you can use it to dodge a move, and then it homings in on them, and just like a dig, it just comes in and pops them, and it's a lot stronger than like a dig would be. It's like a 90. I think dig is not very strong. I think dig's like an 80, right? Yeah. So it's stronger than those moves, and it's just really, really solid. Like, and I haven't had this mechanic pop up yet, but normally this breaks Protect, and Protect is pretty popular on the ladder. The only ways people really get out of it is like they get KO'd, or they do dodge, or they swapped out a Pokemon or something when they see that that's happening. But that being said, I gotten so many KOs with this, and this trades really, really well. So I really like Bannet. It's a perfect example of like base stats, like good base stats doing a lot of the heavy lifting, even if you lose an ability. So definitely a glow up for Bannet. And then we have two, and again, we're only going to be looking at these OG Megas. I'm trying my best not to spoil you guys for any of these other ones here. But Mega Metagross. So Mega Metagross is, well, we'll talk about it. So it loses Tough Claws, which sucks because like Iron Head, Zen Headbutt, Ice Punch, all those things were all boosted by it. So while it has a 145 base attack, it realistically could be a little bit higher, right? Like Garchomp has 170, give it to Metagross, you know? But that's great bulk. But regular Metagross had good bulk. If you take a look at like Metagross here, so Metagross had like, you know, 135, 130, 90, right? And this guy has like 150, 110. So it gains like 20 on each. I don't think that's really worth it. It's really good. Like this would be like an A tier mega. It's super bulky. You can eat super effective attacks from anything. You trade really well. You have good AoE, good single target. Like it's good. It's a good mon, but it's technically a glow down because it was really relying on its ability, and the whole like way that the game works isn't friendly with its playstyle, right? I think Metagross was like that bulky bruiser, and while it's still a bulky bruiser, it was a better bulky bruiser in, you know, games with abilities and stuff like that. And the last mon is going to be Mega Salamence. Mega Salamence is, well, we'll talk about it. So Mega Salamence had Aerialate, right? Mega Salamence had Aerialate, and it was the best Aerialate user. It's the mon that got that ability, you know, broken. 145, 120, you could build it physical, you could build it special, it could do everything. Like, regular Salamence was busted. You would start off with regular Salamence, you'd intimidate something, and then you'd Mega Evolve and blow everything up, right? With either, like, Hyper Voices, or Double Edges, or Hyper Beams, or Giga Impacts, wherever you really wanted to do. I think that Mega Salamence is still viable, but I don't really see a reason using Mega Salamence over something like a Mega Garchomp, or even like a Mega Dragonite. Like, I really think that Mega Dragonite has just completely invalidated Salamence as a mon in this game. I haven't really struggled with Mega Salamence at all. But that being said, I think it's still usable, but it's definitely a glow down. This was like the second best Mega in the game. I think the best Megas in the game were like Kang, Salamence, Zard, Gengar, and you know, if you weren't playing those, like, yeah, like, let's see. The best Megas in the game were those two, plus Zard Y, plus Gengar, and then, like, Metagross, right? I think those were, like, the best Megas in the game, and they're all really reliant on their abilities to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And so when you take those abilities out of the way, they lose valuable steroids, they lose valuable, like, coverage, they lose valuable, like, effects on the board, thanks to, like, Drought and Shadow Tag. So it's really hard to just, like, make the rest of their kits transition into a game without those abilities, when that was like the whole reason you used them in the first place. But that being said, this is my list. You agree or disagree? And let me know if you guys want to see a very similar list with the rest of the Megas in the game. All the new ones, I can do the same type of thing. Maybe not a winners or losers type thing, but just kind of going over which ones I think are good and why. We could also just do a regular tier list where we rank all of the different Megas in the game. Let me know if you guys want to see something like that. And guys, don't forget to drop a sub. We're still trying to get to 50K on YouTube, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this game like I was talking about earlier. I'm getting ready for some tournaments in this game as well. So if you guys want to enter some tournaments, think about checking out our Discord. There's a link in the description. We're going to try and do these weekly. And if that sounds like fun, we'd love to have you guys along for the ride for that as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you guys next time.